wow. So,
Wow,
I mean,
what an
just
incredible
incredible.
crowd out there tonight. Just look at this. I mean, all the stars are out in force. I see Tamora down in the audience over
hey,
there.
Pedro. Look, hey, there's Pedro. Hey, man.
Grogu, he's making an appearance
Oh.
tonight. Look at that.
Love you, Grogu.
Man.
I love you. I would die for you, Grogu.
Well, Alex, is there any more night or is there a night that's more special than the Beskies?
There is no night more special than the Beskies Award Show. If this is your first time joining us, this is actually our second annual Beskies Award Show. It is the live action Star Wars award show television show. Yeah. And we are giving out Beskies, which are made of what, Mac?
Beskar, but gold Beskar. It's the
exactly
most rare kind. Pretty much the only place it exists is in these statuettes that we hand out.
So we did one of these last year for the second season of The Mandalorian, and we're back for the Book of Boba Fett. And this is an award show, and this is really, really cool because all the winners have been selected by our patrons, and you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/TheMandalorianWatch for just $2 a month, and you can get access to bonus material, bonus episodes, our Discord. It is so much fun over on our Patreon, and they voted on all the winners for tonight's Beskies, and there's some surprises tonight, I think, that people are going to be kind of shocked by.
There's some upsets. I certainly, reading the results, was taken aback several times, so I cannot wait to get into it.
There were even some snubs. Not at all did anyone ever forget to type in somebody's name. They were just snubbed by the people who pick the award categories. But I feel like we
whoever
should...
those jerks are.
Let's go over what the categories for tonight's Beskies are, and we'll start with Best VFX Moment, Best Musical Moment, Best Production Design,
Mise en scène.
Best Spin and Shoot Sequence.
That was a very heated category this year.
It was very close. It was very close. Best Costume Design, and this is series specific. It's not for like all of Star Wars. It's specifically for the Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
Best Scene, Best Performance, Best Director, and then finally Best Episode. So our patrons voted on all of those things, and we're really, really excited to give out these Beskie Awards to those that earned them through our Patreon vote. And again, there's going to be some surprises tonight. I think some people are going to be shocked by the results of the second ever Beskies Award Show.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, Alex, I think it's probably just about time to get into the first category. What do you think?
I think that we should, and the first category is
Best VFX Moment. So we're talking what scene using computer-generated imagery really took our breath away. And then the nominees were the train scene, Boba's vision quest, the twins, the Vespa chase scene, Sarlacc's last gasp, Luke Skywalker's face, and the Rancor battle. And Alex, the winner is the Rancor battle.
wow.
Yeah. Well done. I have named the Rancor Bessie. I believe that. So Bessie facing off against the Scorpion droids.
Nice.
Big kaiju fight in Star Wars. It was about time we got one. Yeah. I mean, for sure, a fantastic way to close out the series and kind of wrap up that climactic battle.
Absolutely. Now, this was a very contested category for our patrons. I'll just kind of break down how the vote went. So the Rancor Battle won with 35.1% of the vote. The second place, it was so close, just by a few votes. Luke Skywalker's face came in at 31.1% of the vote. And so that was second. And then third was the train scene with 18.2% of the vote. So that's kind of how it broke down. I really thought, to be honest with you, that Luke Skywalker's face would win.
Yeah, just because, I mean, all the to-do that has gone into recreating that character.
Yeah.
You know, we've gotten a whole featurette on what it takes to to bring that character back to the screen, you know. But yeah, the power of kaiju was just too great for Luke Skywalker to conquer. So the Rancor battle takes best VFX moment.
Wow, just incredible. Great job, VFX team, on the Book of Boba Fett. Now, I will say I personally did vote in these categories, and I voted for Luke Skywalker's face solely because, like, when you compare it to last year with The Mandalorian and then this year, there was a huge upgrade in terms of the way that Luke Skywalker looked. Mm-hmm. But I think I understand why the patrons voted that the way that they did. And it's because I think it's still too much of the uncanny valley that you talk about a lot, Max, of like, you can't really disconnect from the fact that you're thinking about that's not actually Mark Hamill.
Right.
And it's just too hard not to think about that. And so it does take you out of the scene from time to time, but I was still amazed by it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's been really cool to just like watch that technology come along, like from Tarkin to here. You know, it's been a cool journey to watch. My personal vote was Boba's Vision Quest, just because it was just something weird and wacky, and I loved it. It was out there, loved the crazy trippy visuals and everything. So that was my vote, but I understand why that was a low-performing nominee.
All right. Well, congratulations again to Bessie, the Rancor, she has won Best VFX for the Rancor Battle. So congratulations again, VFX team, for the Book of Boba Fett. So let's go to our next category, and that's Best Musical Moment. Very excited about this. So, our categories are a Mandalorian word that I cannot pronounce, a cautionary tale, maiden voyage, life lessons, teacher's pet, battle for Mos Espa, and then finally, the Book of Boba Fett. And you can find all of these tracks on Spotify or YouTube. You can actually go back and listen to these if you would like to. So, without further ado, the winner of Best Musical Moment is the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. I mean, this was not a close category at all. It was pretty much took it far and away. 54.7% of the vote went to the Book of Boba Fett. Really not a pretty much a landslide there. I mean, as far as being a theme, you know, kind of for the series at large, and then also kind of doubling for the character, you know, it definitely just captured what it needed to capture. You know,
yes,
it tells you everything we need to know about both the show and the character just from the way it feels.
And like, if I'm being honest, I think I like this theme better than the Mandalorian theme. Is that okay to say?
I think so, yeah.
It's a little more unique, or like it stands out to me more for some reason. Like, I love the Mandalorian theme too. I don't know if you've heard the mashup between the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian theme when they're put together. Incredible. Yeah. Incredible. But like,
I feel like we'll probably have that happen at some point, maybe in a future big crossover event or something.
Yeah. We got a brief snippet of it in Chapter 5 of The Mandalorian, like when, or I'm sorry, the Book of Boba Fett, or was it? I don't know.
Or was it?
Chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, when the title pops up. But Samuel Kim on Spotify, if you go, he's an incredible artist who does a lot of these different mashups. He's combined both of those themes, and it's just a great listen. So check that out, because it is really, really incredible. But like you said, without a shadow of the doubt, the patrons voted majority for this. And I was kind of in my mind when I put the Book of Boba Fett, not just the theme, but like the final theme, like for the show when it's like they're actually singing it. Boba Fett, Boba Fett. They're actually singing Boba Fett's name. That was like kind of in my mind for like best musical moment, because I was just sitting there at the end of it like, what is happening?
It's like, oh.
They're singing his name.
I loved just watching that journey happen, like with our patrons discovering it as well, like and putting it in the Discord and everything. I don't know, it's fun.
Yeah, but so what did you vote for best musical moment? Like, if you were choosing, did you choose the Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, I voted right alongside with everybody. I just think that's it just definitely the standout.
Yeah, it's really good. I actually voted for Maiden Voyage, which was when Den took out the N1 Starfighter for the first time, and he was flying it through space and stuff. Like, there's just something about that music that really stands out to me. It sounds like a new Star Wars to me. Like it like celebrates everything that John Williams has done with Star Wars, but then also has a different flavor to it that I really, really like. So that's what I went with, is Maiden Voyage. And part of me thinks that I voted for that too, because I can't separate my love for the Phantom Menace from that scene.
It makes sense.
That's the reason I chose that one. But again, far and away, our patrons picked the Book of Boba Fett with 54.7% of the vote, like you said. And the second one was just 12% of the vote was the Battle for Mos Espa.
Yep.
And again, so a lot of people really like that scene, with the Rancor, the music.
Yeah.
Really, really
it was
good.
Big, bombastic. It's fantastic. Yep. Lots of fun. Yep. Cool. Well, congrats to the Book of Boba Fett, the song.
Joseph Shirley and Ludwig, you guys did great.
Yeah, fantastic work. Cool. Well, on to our third category, which is Best Production Design. We are talking about, just the best looking scenes, from the set design to costuming to, just everything in general. We'll be focusing on costuming a little bit, later, but and so for the nominees, we have Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land, Chapter 2, The Tribes of Tatooine, Chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa, Chapter 4, The Gathering Storm, Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian, Chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger, and Chapter 7, In the Name of Honor. If you don't realize, that's just the episode list, so... I'm
excited to see which one wins.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Between every episode of the Book of Boba Fett, the best production design goes to Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian.
What?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to love from Chapter 5. I mean, there's this new kind of city station thing with the rings, everything with the armor. I think the like Mando Vision signets and stuff on the walls, or the markings to lead him to the covert.
Yeah.
I thought was really cool. Just that whole episode looked amazing.
It looked like a movie. Like I would say with the Book of Boba Fett, there's been a lot of talk and discussion about Jon Favreau wrote all the scripts, but it's the directors, it's the production design, it's all that kind of makes the episode come to life.
Yeah.
And so I would say for sure this one felt the most like a movie that I was like, this is like a Star Wars movie, because we are seeing new things that we've never seen before in Star Wars with that ring world.
Yeah.
We saw again the Beggar's Canyon, that was really, really cool. Just a lot of really cool things in that episode. I understand why it won, and it won with the majority of the vote. Like, it ran away with it with 64.2% of the vote. Return of the Mandalorian won, and second place was 15.5% 5% of the vote, and that was from Chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger. So those, I mean, it wasn't even close. Chapter 5 wins production design. And, that's the one that I also voted for just because it just felt so immersive and new, but still Star Wars. And I think that's the key. That's the good level that they want to be at with these Star Wars live action television shows, is like find somewhere where you feel like it's new, but also still like from the same legacy of Star Wars that we have. And it hit the sweet spot for me.
Yeah. I think too, just like with the thematic focus of that episode, it was such an expansive episode in terms of like lore building and things like that. It made it feel like a huge world, and the production design had to live up to that, I think, to be able to sell that feeling. So I think it, contributes just as much as the dialogue and the performance and everything like that. So
yeah,
for sure. Well, congratulations to Chapter 5. Well done.
All right, for our next category, this is actually one of my favorite categories for the Beskies this year.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Best Spin and Shoot Sequence. Mm-hmm. And wow, what an incredible, hard-fought. This is really close.
This is a heated race, for sure.
Heated race for this category. And the nominees are Din Djarin, Boba Fett, and Scad the Mod. So what we're talking about,
just examples of turning and shooting and spinning and twirling, and we got so many great moments of just acrobatic marksmanship on display in the Book of Boba Fett, and we had to recognize that and make this a category,
You have to. And it was just incredible. I mean, I know that all three actors, stuntmen, put incredible amount of time and work into spinning and shooting. And so, like you said, we want to recognize that. And so we have, and our patrons have decided who did the best at that, who deserves this Besky award for spin and shoot. And so I'm excited to announce the winner for Best Spin and Shoot Sequence is Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. Let's give it up for our guy.
Absolutely. Just what impressive spinning and impressive shooting. This was, again, like we said, a pretty heated race. Smaller number of nominees, but Din actually edged out the competition at 43.9% of the vote. And then, second up was Scad the Mod, actually, with 33.8% of the vote. And then Boba trailing after that. Boba had a lot to do in this series, so not as much time as everybody else to focus on, this just time-honored tradition of spinning and shooting,
Yeah. Yeah, and I get that. Boba had a lot on his mind, a lot going on, like you said. But I actually voted for Scad the Mod for this category just because, the way that he spun in that episode, he pushed Chrysanthemum off of him.
Yeah.
And then he turns, and then with accuracy shoots a pike. I mean,
it's flawless execution. If this was an Olympic competition, a spinning and shooting event, just 10s across the board, I think, for Scad. But it's just a testament to the charisma and the just practiced skill of Din Djarin in spinning and shooting, that he could edge out that performance of Scad the Mod.
It's really hard. I mean, Scad had it stacked against him. When you're wearing a Beskar helmet, silver Beskar helmet, and you're spinning and shooting, you can't help but look cool. Even if your spin and shoot isn't as good, it looks better because you're wearing cooler stuff. Right?
Think about all the reflections and refractions of the light interacting with the Beskar surface of the armor while you're executing a spin, and then promptly shooting. I mean,
It's got to be
the results of
blinding.
the vote speak for themselves. So,
I mean, think about that, though. It's got to be blinding for a Pike to be fighting Din in the twin Tatooine suns, right? Like, you cannot even see. You can't look at him. It hurts to look at him.
right. I think actually this is any time that Din is involved is probably the only time stormtroopers get a pass for being as inaccurate as they are. Just because, like, I mean, I don't think their masks are polarized enough, that the helmet's lenses I don't think are polarized enough to be able to see through those reflections and refractions, especially during an expertly executed spin and shoot technique.
Absolutely. Well, we just want to say congratulations once again to the winner of Best Spin and Shoot Sequence, and that is Din Djarin. Way to go, Din.
Yeah, well done to Din Djarin, the Mandalorian.
And now we're going to turn you to some advertisements. This episode of Children of the Watch is sponsored by Vanth Refrigeration. I'm sure we've all been stuck on a desert planet, surrounded by Tusken Raiders, and constantly harassed by a Krayt Dragon. At a time like that, you shouldn't have to worry if your meats, spatchka, and other galactic food items are going bad or not. I cannot tell you how many times I've been defending my town from sand people, and I've thought, gee, I hope I can have a nice drink of cold spatchka if I survive this. Thanks to Vanth Refrigeration Systems, I will never have to worry about that again. Vanth Refrigeration has a new top-of-the-line refrigerator that promises to keep all your galactic food items cool, cold, or even frozen. As Cobb Vanth always says, every once in a while, both suns shine on a Womp Rat's tail. To learn more about Vanth Refrigeration's incredible products, be sure to visit keepthewatch.com and use the promo code WOMPRAT for 15% off any order. That's keepthewatch.com, and the promo code is WOMPRAT for 15% off your first order. Now, back to the episode.
Wow, thank you so much to our wonderful sponsors for the support of the second annual Beskies Award show. We couldn't put on such an event like this. I mean, the spatchka being served to our guests and attendants isn't free. We couldn't put this on without Vanth Refrigeration's help. So just once again, thank you to Vanth Refrigeration. Go to keepthewatch.com if you want to find out more about them.
We love you, Vanth, for refrigeration. Thank you for putting food on my children's table.
Alrighty. Well, with that, I think we're ready to get into the fifth category, which is Best Costuming. Now, one more reminder, we're talking series specific, so it's not just going to be Boba Fett as a whole or anything like that. It is specifically the duds that they're sporting in this particular a series, so Din Djarin's brown armor is disqualified,
right?
All of that. So, without further ado, the nominees for Best Costume Design are the Tusken Child, the Warrior Queen, the Tusken Chieftain, Cad Bane, Cobb Vanth, the Mayor, the Major Domo, Black Chrysanthemum, Garsa Fwip, Max Rebo, and Boba Fett Jumpsuit Edition.
Yeah, it's like when he crawled out of the Sarlacc and then lost his armor.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this was also, a pretty good race, but there was a clear victor.
Yes.
Who is the Warrior Queen. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, what a fantastic look. Just, exactly what she's about. Like, we knew exactly how she was going to move and act even before we got to see her, fully in action during the train sequence, just from this costuming. She looks like she means business. And, it really builds upon the motifs with the Tusken Raiders that we've had before. You knew exactly kind of what group she belongs to, but you also know that she's kind of someone special within that group, just right off the bat,
Right. And really with that whole tribe of Tuskens, it was really cool to see them, like, again, we could identify that, they're Tuskens, but there's something different about this tribe. They have the black and red motif going on. instead of just the browns and the tans and stuff. So it was really cool. I thought all of them looked really cool, but I love the way that our patrons voted, and so 35.8% of the vote went to the Warrior Queen. She won. And then secondly was Cad Bane with 22.3% of the vote. And I thought that was yeah, that makes sense. Like him coming in second was really right.
In for sure.
Opinion.
Especially just like with the challenges that adaptation always brings, just what they were able to do with Cad Bane, I definitely think is worthy of that second place spot. But I kind of agree. I like I somewhere in the Tusken realm is where my vote lies, but I thought that whole tribe looked really great.
It was really hard for me to pick between the Queen, the Kid, and the Chieftain. I think I ended up going with the Chieftain, just because like he had a little bit more color on him than the Queen did, but I don't think you could go wrong with any of those three. And then, like you said, I thought the way that they translated Cad Bane in the series was really good. Like, I thought they did a really good job. I know that there was like all these videos and pictures of making him look like he did in the Clone Wars and stuff, but I don't think that was what they were going for anyway.
Yeah, it's the same kind of way with Ahsoka. You have to make the design of the character fit the medium.
Yeah.
And I thought it was even great that they had the foresight with Cad Bane to bring him into animated again, but with like a more realistically proportioned kind of costume, like that the hat shrinking a little bit, just looking a little more live action screen ready, So I loved the work they did to bridge the gap there. But yeah, congrats to the Tusken Queen for winning Best Costume.
Way to go, costume designers. Way to go. First ever Beskie for the Tusken Queen. Way to go. All right, so our next category is Best Scene. And so this is like basically just like, what is your favorite moment from the Book of Boba Fett? Not necessarily episode or anything like that, just like the standout moment from the show. And this one had like, I don't know, this was a very close one in terms of a lot of people had very different scenes. So I think when you hear the winner of this one, you might not be like, well, I don't know about that one, because this is going to be more about personal preference anyway.
Right.
And this one just happened to be, the winner of it happened to be, for our patrons, most people thought that was their favorite scene. And so, Best Scene nominees are Boba slays the sand monster, like a bantha, the train sequence, Boba's vision quest, Boba crafting the gaffy stick, the Vespa chase, Din's darksaber training, the N1 flies for the first time, Luke and Grogu's training, Cad Bane's introduction, Din and Boba fight back to back, the Rancor battle, and then finally Boba versus Cad Bane. And the winner for Best Scene goes to Cad Bane's arrival.
Yeah, this was extremely surprising to me, but it makes sense when you think about it. I also think maybe Rick conducted a massive campaign for this and
behind the scenes
unbeknownst
voting
to us.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a fantastic scene. I personally would probably pick him and Boba squaring off over this one, just personally, because of the story elements that it added, but I really liked the arrival scene, just in how cool he looked, seeing him for the first time, the immediate conflict with Cobb Vanth, it was fantastic.
Yeah, so it won with 24.3% of the vote, and then second place was Din and Boba Fight Back to Back, which was 12.8%. Third place was the N1 Flies for the First Time, and that's 10.1%. And then, like, there's just a lot of a little stuff around that, and so it was pretty awesome just to see, what everybody's favorite scene was. And I like the fact that, like pretty much all of them at least got a vote, And so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, when I look back on the series, all of these moments are immediately in my recollection. So I think this category was nominated well, and it was just really cool to see, how it played out, what everybody thought about those individual moments. And it's cool because when you're looking at moments, you are just looking at the best of the best, because like the best moment could be in one of your less preferred episodes,
right?
So it's just a fun thing to get into, what really resonated with people on that small of a level.
Yeah, I believe I voted for Din's Darksaber training, and that's again, that has more to do with my personal preference than anything else. I couldn't help but feel like, oh man, I'm really digging this scene. I'm really digging the concepts and the layers that they're adding for season 3 of The Mandalorian, right? And so like I couldn't separate that for me, and so I had to vote for that because it just stands out in my mind of like, man, I just really, really love this scene. I can't help but remember like watching that episode for the first time. It was like the first time for the series, the Book of Boba Fett, where I was just like, okay, now we're doing something here that I really enjoy. Not that I didn't enjoy everything before that. It's just it brought it to a different level for me personally. And so that's the way that I went. But I really like that the majority of patrons thought, Cad Bane's arrival into live action versus Cobb Vanth, which so cool, like. And I really love that what that episode did is at the very beginning of that episode, you've got Cobb Vanth squaring off against those Pike soldiers, and it shows how quick of a draw he is and how good he is. And then to be beat by Cad Bane at the end of the episode just shows you how good Cad Bane is.
Right. Setting him up as just such a threat.
Right.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that scene.
Yeah. I love those. If I was just picking from these nominations, I actually would have, for me, just personally, either the N1 flying or Luke and Grogu's training sequence. Yeah. And those are not necessarily, again, because we're talking about just, scenes and moments, Luke's involvement in The Mandalorian is one of the, not that I like it and stuff, but it's one of the aspects that I have more criticisms about probably than other aspects of the show. But just that training sequence and how it mirrors the Dagobah training sequence, and just it really got me in my feels. Yeah. I was tearing up a little bit, and it's just kind of in the middle of the rest of this episode, but I love that they just took the time to do it.
Right.
And then the N1 flying with the hot rod influences, and just seeing kind of the culmination of all these different influences on the property, and the way that Bryce Dallas Howard kind of distilled all that into this incredible episode. Like, that was also really big for me.
Yeah. I just now realized I am dressed exactly like Kevin Feige right now. So if
T-shirt, blazer, ball cap.
If you're watching on the YouTube, the Beskies, Lucasfilm, I will 100% be your Kevin Feige if you want me to, though. So you just give me a call. You can email us at mandalorianwatch@gmail.com. And
there you go. Alex is really taking the dressing for the job you want thing to heart.
All right. So congratulations to Cad Bane and everyone involved in that best scene.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Way to go. And that brings us to our next award. And it is the... it's not actually. I'm jumping the gun, but we're closing in on the end. So
yeah, we are.
We're well into the the awards show program here. But the 7th category is going to be Best Performance. So this is just talking about which actor brought it the most, which
This
actor.
This is the one where the snub happened. So
This one is gonna inspire some feelings in the audience of the Beskies here. It certainly inspired feelings in me when I saw it.
Peli Motto did not even get nominated here,
Right,
guys. I'm sorry. That was just the way the Academy went for the Beskies, and that's
Jerks.
the way that I know they're jerks. They're jerks.
Yeah. But for the Best Performance category, the nominees were Tamora Morrison as Boba Fett, Ming-Na Wen as Fennec Shand, Matt Berry as AD-8, David Pasquesi as the Major Domo, Jennifer Beals as Garsa Flip, Carrie Jones as Chrysanthemum, Wesley Kimmel as Tusken Kid, Xavier Jimenez as Tusken Chieftain, Joanna Bennett as the Tusken Warrior Queen, Emily Swallow as the Armorer, Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin, Timothy Oliphant as Cobb Vanth, and Corey Burton as Cad Bane. And the winner is David Pasquesi as the Major Domo.
Wow.
I was taken aback. It's crazy. Not because I thought that he was not deserving of the award, but just because the competition was, so steep. He's walking in the shadows of giants here, and was able to pull out the win.
I love that he won though, because I hope that this goes to show people we like new characters, Boba Fett. I thought Tamara Morrison would win for Boba Fett,
Right.
and he was second place. But David won with 25% of the vote. So I mean, it was a divided vote. And then Tamara Morrison had 22.3% of the vote. And then coming in third place was Ming-Na Wen with 20.3% of the vote. And when you think about it though, and you really start to think, and he had to build a brand new character who was super annoying. His character is very annoying. But it works for him because we kind of discussed this within the series itself. It's like he is a Twi'lek version of C-3PO.
Right. He's playing that comic relief role, but at the same time, it's not like the comic relief of the funny cut up dude. It's like the joke is always on him, right? But yeah, I think he was certainly a super welcome presence in the show. He provided not only necessary exposition and things like that, but he just brought humor and made the show that much more memorable that way. I'm remembering the scene of him having to read off the list of demands of, or the agreements,
the Book of Boba Fett. Yeah,
right, the book.
He's reading the Book of Boba Fett,
realizing what he's about to have to say, and just fantastic performance. Like you said, walking that line of being this annoying character, but also being endearing and making us like him. And fantastic job. I personally would have given my vote to Tim just because the series, everything was so hinged on his performance and his ability to make us care about this character that up until then had very little development, especially at the time period that we are. And just the surprising aspects of his performance in the show, like his love of animals and just go make baby banthas and just all these tiny little surprises. I think really, I'm not splitting the atom here by voting Tim, but
that's where my vote went, was for Tamara Morrison, and it's just because the way that I looked at it when I was voting was like he played Boba Fett as Boba Fett, not as Jango Fett, right? Those two characters are very different from one another, and it showed in this series. And I think a lot of people going into this series were expecting a carbon copy of either Jango Fett or the way he was in The Empire Strikes Back. Right. And I really thought that the way that the series went was actually a very bold direction in the sense of let's not give people what they're expecting in terms of Boba Fett's going to be this cold, silent killer, right? That he kind of developed into from out of his childhood into that. But after the events of the Sarlacc, I think it did change him, right? Like we talked about that even in season 2 of The Mandalorian, that he went through an experience and it changed him as a character. And he went actually more back to the roots of the way that he was as a child, just more mature in the way that he deals with things. And so I thought that was really cool, and I thought the way that he played it was just incredible. Like a Bantha, that scene of him trying to teach the Tuskens how to ride the speeders and stuff was just a great scene. Yeah. I just really love that Tamara Morrison loves being in Star Wars, and it shows. Yes. And so that's why I gave him my vote, but I don't think the patrons are wrong in giving David Pasquesi his due as the Major Domo, and he wins a Besky for it, and that's just incredible. Way to go.
Incredible. Congratulations to the Major Domo and David. I hope, maybe we'll see him in the future in some way.
Well, that's the thing that I did want to say is like one of the things that I am slightly missing so far in the Star Wars live action shows is that whole Rebels crew feel, in the sense of like a crew traveling together throughout the series instead of just like two people like Din and Grogu. Now I know we got a little bit of that at the end of season 1 and a little bit of that in season 2 of The Mandalorian with Greef and Cara Dune and Quill and stuff. But I would love to see the Major Domo become a part of a crew like that, just because he brings that C-3PO dynamic to things and stuff. So I don't know. I would just kind of enjoy seeing that personally. So it would be cool to see more of him for sure. And I think we will. Especially after he won a Besky, right?
Exactly. I mean, they'd be foolish not to have a Besky award-winning actor, continue his role.
I hope he puts that on his Twitter bio.
Yes, Besky award winner.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well,
awesome.
Congrats again. And I think we're ready to get on to our next category.
So these last two categories are like the big ones for the night, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And this next category is Best Director. So here we go. Our nominees are Robert Rodriguez for Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land. Steph Green for Chapter 2 of The Tribes of Tatooine. Robert Rodriguez for Chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa. Kevin Tincharian, Chapter 4, The Gathering Storm. Bryce Dallas Howard for Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian. Dave Filoni, Chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger. And then finally, Robert Rodriguez once again for Chapter 7, In the Name of Honor. And our winner for Best Director is Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, congrats to BDH. Well done. Chapter 5, I mean, we're just not going to stop talking about it,
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even really
it wasn't
close race
not at all.
79.1% voted for Howard. So clear winner. The runner-up was Steph Green for Chapter 2, The Tribes of Tatooine. And then Dave Filoni bringing up third after that. So I mean, we've already talked a lot about Chapter 5. I think there's a clear Chapter 5 has been an important episode of this show. I thought just, again, kind of what I was talking about with, she really embodies like the culmination of a lot of the major influences on Star Wars, and she's a phenomenal director, especially when it comes to interpersonal stuff. I love her dialogue heavy scenes. I think she's really great at getting engaging performances out of people, and helping them, create something special within a scene together.
Right.
And yeah, I anything she wants to direct in the Star Wars universe, she can have,
Absolutely.
put her on whatever.
And that's the thing too, is like watching the culmination so far in her directing, starting off with chapter 4 of season 1 of The Mandalorian with The Sanctuary. Great episode. Really enjoy that episode.
Yeah.
And then in season 2, chapter 11, The Heiress, one of my favorite episodes of season 2, honestly, with the introduction of Bo-Katan, just the way that she views Star Wars really connects with me.
Yeah.
And the way that she frames everything, and like we kind of, I saw this discussion happening on our Discord, which you can join by joining the patreon.com/The Mandalorian Watch for $2. I saw this conversation happening of like, this idea of like, and I don't want to say blame, but like a lot of people did not enjoy some other people's direction of episodes. I think we can agree with that, right?
Yeah.
And then like the talking point, well, Jon Favreau wrote those scripts. And I think that's a really good point of like, it kind of depends on, number one, what you're working with, right? Because you've got a script that you've got to direct and bring to life. But also, I just really like the way that Bryce Dallas Howard brings those scripts to life. I think she does it better than everybody else. If Rick Famuyiwa and Bryce Dallas Howard just directed all Star Wars, Deborah Chow, I'm going to throw her in there as well, I am fine with that.
Me too.
Because those three, specifically from what we've seen with the live action stuff, have been standouts for us. And last year, the Besky Award winner for Best Director was Rick Famuyiwa. He actually just recently said yesterday that he would love to do more Star Wars. And I was like, yes, please.
Yes, please. Absolutely.
And then, of course, I would love to have Bryce Dallas Howard get her own like series like Deborah Chow has with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Like Deborah Chow, from her episodes of season 1, she now has directed every single episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I love that because then you get like consistent vision, right?
Yeah.
Like with this show, the Book of Boba Fett, it had its up and downs, right? Like, and I think that is with some different visions from different people.
Right.
And I'm excited to see, what does Obi-Wan Kenobi look like when it's just one person's specific vision for stuff laid out. And I'm really excited about that because that's going to bring consistency.
Yeah.
And so like I would love to see Bryce Dallas Howard, if that Bo-Katan show
I was just going to say
is real and it's not just rumors, I would love for her to have that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, she, I think, has demonstrated a fantastic understanding of that character and characters surrounding Bo-Katan,
Yeah.
I would love to see that too. She would definitely be my vote for a Bo-Katan series.
Yeah.
But
She just gets it, man.
She does.
And
I'm excited to see like what the consistency type thing you were talking about. We're still in pretty uncharted waters with streaming Star Wars shows, So it'll be, we've only seen one thing, which is kind of this, direction by committee over the course of a season. I'm excited to see what happens when it's one person and just comparing and contrasting. I'm sure there's going to be pros and cons to both.
That's what's kind of like exciting a little bit to me about Obi-Wan Kenobi, because you have number one, a consistent directorial vision, but you've also got different writers on that show too, and it's more than just one writer. So it's going to be like a new kind of thing with Obi-Wan Kenobi that we're going to experience, and I'm excited for it, and it's coming up soon, and of course we'll be here to cover all of that and more. So we'll do our scene-by-scene breakdowns for Obi-Wan Kenobi and our voicemail hotline episodes as well, and I'm so excited for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then we'll do that for Andor after that. So very, very exciting. So again, congratulations to Bryce Dallas Howard. Just again, I cannot brag on her enough, but also like she is truly a child of Star Wars, right? Like she is like third generation Star Wars in my mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you've got George Lucas who mentored Ron Howard, her father, and then Ron Howard is her father. That kind of makes her like a third generation Star Wars person, you know? And so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so, for sure. Cool.
All right. So the last category, this is it.
Rounding
Mac.
out the night. To me, this is basically the equivalent of Best Picture.
Yes.
And so it's kind of the headline event. It's just kind of wrapping it all up. Best episode. I mean, we know the nominees.
It's all the episodes of the Book of Boba Fett.
Right. So chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, so on through to chapter 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And the winner, Mac, is Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian, wins Best Episode.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Mac?
I mean, it makes it. To me, it's the only choice.
Same.
It was such a surprise, and it just was such a payoff of things that we had tons of questions about, but didn't realize we were going to get answers to them here.
Right.
It was just it added so much lore. It set up so much while also tying up some loose ends. And it was just visually breathtaking. All the performances were great. Amazing sequences and the training of the Darksaber and just everything in one starfighter. The just
all of it,
front to
just
back.
So good.
What is there to dislike?
Right. Yeah, and like maybe you could say it didn't belong in the show, but it was in the show, and so like it was incredible. It was incredible, and the patrons. Our patrons voted. The way that it went was 45.3% of the vote went to Return of the Mandalorian. So that won the majority. The next one up was Chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger, with 29.1% of the vote. And then rounding out for third was Chapter 2, The Tribes of Tatooine, with 15.5% of the vote. So this one was a little closer than Best Director. And again, I think that just kind of goes to what is your personal preferences when you're watching Star Wars. Right now, mine is Mandalorian stuff. Just because, like, we obviously, us two, we have a very special connection to the Mandalorian because that's really what started this podcast,
Right. That's what we've built this community on,
Right. And so, like, like you said, it was a very special thing to witness a lot of the seeds that were planted in season 1 of The Mandalorian start to come to fruition in this show. And so that was really, really cool to see. Like you said, there was just new things in this that like expanded my mind for Star Wars. And like, I've never seen that before in Star Wars, but it was still a celebration of old Star Wars too. And it was really specifically a celebration of episode 1, the Phantom Menace, and that was really, really cool. And so one thing that we never pointed out that we do know about, we just never pointed out, when he's flying through Beggar's Canyon, you actually see that ramp that Anakin went up, and it still is broken. That little ramp thing that he broke going up the ramp is still there. The pieces are still there. So make sure you look for that next time you watch the episode.
Yeah,
because that's
that was
pretty
such
cool.
a cool little touch. It's like, right, this is the same place. This is as real as a fictional world can get.
Yeah, and so like I guess nobody cared to clean that up for what? How many years was that? 50 years?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the galaxy went through some turbulent times. I don't know if
Things got messy there for a while. So
right, it was kind of touch and go there for a second. So
yeah.
I feel like the Empire probably was not huge on like pod racing and stuff like that. I don't know.
It would be cool to see more pod racing in Star Wars.
I would love a narrative video game that's pod racing, but you're like a pod racer who's making his way or her way through the
Circuit,
league,
yeah.
the circuit, whatever, kind of like a narrative thing that way. And
That-
then, there could be, you got to actually do this thing for the rebellion during the pod race or something like that. You're a secret undercover agent for the rebellion in the pod racing circuit. I don't know. That'd be fun.
I could actually see pod racing come back in Andor. Like I could see Andor meeting up with somebody at a pod race or something like that.
Think about James Bond and like a poker tournament.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing could be happening with the pod racing, I think.
Yeah. So congratulations to Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian, for winning Best Episode of the Book of Boba Fett. Just totally overshadowing the own show of Boba Fett there. But I think this was a fun way to kind of go over and just do a season review of the Book of Boba Fett. And I think the show, I mean, now that it's said and done, we can evaluate it for what it was. And I think it's safe to say, for me, it had lower lows than both Season 1 and Season 2 of The Mandalorian. But its highs were up there with some of the best stuff we've ever seen. So it was, at the end of the day, the show was really inconsistent for me. Mm-hmm. But I really enjoyed it. Like, bad Star Wars is still better than anything else to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I totally agree with you.
So even if it's not my personal preference for what I like, I still love it more than like other things that I like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed this show. I thought it was a good holdover while they got Season 3 ready, and it did some things, I think, for Season 3 of The Mandalorian, which I think was the whole purpose of this show anyway, was just to set up things for what's coming down the line in the Mandoverse. And it's just fun Star Wars to have while we wait. And so I was really happy with the show. I'm okay if it doesn't get a Season 2. But I'm okay if it does too. So we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah. I feel very similarly. Like, I think that the one thing that this show never ceased to do was surprise me.
Yeah.
And that was so fun. Just turning on the TV early every Wednesday morning for a few weeks, and just having no idea what I was about to watch, and then and then watching it. That was just such a fun experience for me. So there were a lot. It was very messy production wise, I think, and there's a lot of things narratively that I thought were weird, but there was no shortage of just amazing, fun Star Wars moments, and I'm really glad that we got to watch this. I'm glad we got it.
Yeah.
I think this is probably not going to be a show that I'm going to revisit a whole lot in the future. But every once in a while, who knows? Like, there's certainly moments in here that I'm still thinking about and will continue to think about. So
I'm excited to binge the show in the sense of like I want to give it a little bit of time because for us, for Mac and myself, the way that we do the show, our show, we have to live, breathe, and be the Book of Boba Fett. So like I need to give it a little bit more time before I go back and binge watch it, but I'm excited to see how do I feel after I watch from chapter 1 to chapter 7? Do those narrative things that kind of stand out to me right now of like that's kind of weird, does it change any watching the episodes back to back? So I'm excited to do that.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do it a rewatch. Like you said, with a little bit of space.
Yeah.
And that could like you said, completely change my thoughts. But as it stands now, had a ton of fun. Glad we got it. But I'm kind of with you. If it either way, if there's a season 2 of it, I'll watch it for sure and have fun watching it, and we'll cover it, and best believe we'll be talking about it.
Right.
But if there's not, no worries. I'm ready to see what else they've got coming down the pipe for us.
Exactly. And speaking of coming down the pipe for us, Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're gonna now. This is like the official end of our coverage of the Book of Boba Fett. We're kind of putting that to rest. That means we're gonna start transitioning into Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now we're not gonna be as active until we get closer and closer and closer to Obi-Wan Kenobi, because like I said, the way that we kind of do these podcasts, we have to live, breathe, be whatever the show is. And so that's really consuming to do 3 podcast episodes a week for 7 weeks. Sure. But there is a lot of Star Wars news that's coming out, and so we'll be there to break it down. We'll do an episode soonish in terms of like talking about John Williams doing an Obi-Wan Kenobi theme, and the rumors of Grammar Radio, which is we'll talk about that and more when we get to it. And so make sure you stick around. But I'm excited to start covering Obi-Wan Kenobi and getting my mind right for that.
Yeah, me too. We've also got some very special Patreon content in the works. We met some goals, so we got to do some.
We'll be watching both Ewok movies for the first time and talking through those, and
I cannot wait.
Listen, we're like $40 away from having to do that as well for all 3 prequel movies, and I can't think of a better way to prepare for Obi-Wan Kenobi than doing that. So like
getting into the prequels.
If we can meet our goal before Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out, that would be a great way to prep for that show.
For sure. Cool. Yeah. And then as for the Beskies, next time that we're doing this, it's going to be weird because it'll be the first time that we've got multiple shows to talk about, maybe. So we'll have to kind of think through if we're going to do this for each show or if we're going to keep it an annual thing. We'll be thinking through that. Yeah, let us know if you'd like one of these for each show. We're able to talk about the shows in a little more depth. But I also think it'd be really fun to have the shows have to compete against each other and have to pick things, was this scene from Andor better than this scene from Obi-Wan, or, but let us know what you would like, because ultimately we want to do, what's going to bring you the most value and most entertainment and everything like that. So
there could be a compromise where we talk about the season as a whole, and we just don't do it this way, and then we have a Beskies again in February. It's just like our February thing. Like every February, we'll just have a Beskies award show.
That's kind of what sounds good to me. Because we can just do like a season retrospective episode after each season, and then do the whole thing in February. Maybe that's how we'll go forward. But we'll figure it out, and we'll keep you in the know.
It would be interesting to compare the shows and see what the patrons think about going up against each other. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, stay tuned. Check out the Patreon if you want access to any of that fun commentary stuff coming down the pipe. And then the Discord, we'll be active on there and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Rate and review us. Subscribe to if you're watching on YouTube. Do all that kind of stuff. And we'll see you again real soon. But until then, keep the watch.